Welcome to Baddie Diaries. Welcome to Baddie Diaries. I am so excited. I've been waiting to do something like this for a very long time, like 2 years or something. So we'll just give it a few minutes and see who is joining. But really, what I want to talk about today is Baddie Energy. This is a concept that I've come up with recently that I've actually been living by my entire life. And I have just actually kind of put a name on it. So, the first thing that I want to do is I want to tell you a story because as I was planning this live, I was thinking, like, what are some fun stories that I can tell that can really bring home this concept of Baddie Energy to you and why it's so important if you want to make millions in your business. I don't know why my camera is now fuzzy. It tends to do that. I don't know why my camera does that. But anyway, so I want to start by telling you a story about a situation that happened years ago that still annoys me. So I had these two girlfriends. We don't really talk anymore, but and that's a whole separate story. But the whole reason why I'm bringing up this situation that happened, I think it was 2021. Yeah, it was end of 2021, towards the end of 2021, or it was the summer of 2021. That's what it was. I was still an entrepreneur, so I was doing my own thing. I was testing all these product ideas, and I was friends with these two girls who are essentially working corporate jobs. And so what happened was we were out at a restaurant and it was kind of like it kind of had like a bar feel, right? And at the time I had just gotten on TikTok and I was creating all these TikTok videos on like my personal account, because I had always really wanted to be like an actor and I just love doing things in front of a crowd. And so when I saw TikTok came out, I was like, that's so cool. And so I really wanted to be a TikToker. And so I basically created a private account and I started just like creating random videos. They honestly weren't even like that good. And there was this one trend with Doja Cat. I don't know if you guys remember. It was to the song So Into It or something. And there was this really good, just this really fun trend to that song. So anyway, we're at the bar, we're at the restaurant, whatever, we're hanging out, and suddenly I hear this song come on, and I'm like, what the hell? And I'd always wanted to do like a trend in public. I just thought that would be like really funny and really entertaining. Partially because I knew people would look at me weirdly, and I thought it'd be really fun. So I basically, right there in the restaurant, I decided to get up and I was like, I'm gonna get you guys to record me. I'm gonna do a trend. All you have to do is just hold my phone and I'm just gonna go and like do the trend. It was literally like 9 p.m. The bar was full, and I literally like I was like getting up, and they were just like, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" And I was like, "I'm doing the trend. Like, who cares? Like, we're drinking. Let's have fun." So I literally went and I did the trend, and like some people are like looking at me in the restaurant, whatever, and I'm just literally like doing the trend. And I look back at my table and there's my two girlfriends, and guess what they're doing? I think I see someone's joined. It's my first time doing YouTube Live. So if someone's on YouTube Live, throw me a little emoji here just so I know you're here because I wanna say hi to you. So drop it in there if you're around. But anyway, so I'm doing this trend. I look back at my girlfriends and what are they doing? They are literally going like this. They're literally like, but it's not even like they're actually embarrassed, but they're like putting it on. Hey, oh hey Bree. Oh nice. Nice. I'm glad that you told me who you are. Otherwise, I was like, I don't know who this person is. But anyway, so basically, my girlfriends, so I'm doing this trend in this restaurant randomly, this TikTok trend, and my two girlfriends are literally like this. They're just like, oh my God, who is this crazy person? But they weren't even like that, like they weren't actually embarrassed. I think it's just that is the default behavior that a lot of people do when someone is doing something different. So it's just for them to cheer me on would be harder than for them to just be like, oh, like it's awkward. It's almost like doing this is like fitting in. It's saying like, oh, like that person over there doing that crazy thing. I don't know who they are. I don't know what they're doing. I'm not that person. I'm normal. I don't accept this behavior. And so the reason that this really annoyed me was because, like, I'm allowed to express myself. And if I want to go out and just do a trend, I'm allowed to do that. But the issue is most people are scared to do something different. And so this is where really like I set myself apart from people like that because I don't want to be the person doing everything the same way that everyone else is doing. I want to be the person that's different. Like I want to be the one that is in the corner doing a TikTok trend and everyone is staring at me thinking that I'm crazy until they realize that like I go viral and then I become famous. I'm not saying I want to go viral and go famous, but it's like I want to be the person that people are like, what the hell is she doing? And then a year later, they're just like, oh my God, like, how did you do that? I want the same for myself. I love that switch. And that is what I believe is Baddie energy. When you are so unapologetically yourself that you don't care if you look different. In fact, you want to look different because you know that that's how you're going to stand out. And I really look at it, honestly, it's going to sound really insane, but like, it's basically people look at self promotion as a sin. And I think this is a really big issue because what I was doing is self promotion technically, right? And it feels uncomfortable because I think we're raised in a society where we're not really supposed to like talk very, extremely like what's it called? Arrogantly about ourselves. We don't want to come across vain. We don't want to come across full of ourselves. And so instead, what we do is we shy away from self love and we basically just like think that if we like, it's like basically, hey, Amanda. Oh, you had to create a YouTube channel to chat. Oh, I'm learning so many different things. But I also like, do you not have a YouTube channel? Also, coming from the person who literally just got into YouTube like 2 years ago, I actually started creating videos on YouTube before I like started consuming YouTube videos. I'm like so backwards. But anyway, so I'm basically talking about this whole concept of Baddie energy, which is the idea that like in society, we're basically made to feel shameful whenever we self promote. And this is a really big issue, not just in business, but in life in general. It's almost like we're not allowed to love ourselves. And if someone is loving themselves, that's not acceptable. And so the story that I was telling just now is I was out at a restaurant in 2021 with two of my girlfriends I don't talk to anymore for that reason. I was on TikTok. I decided to do a TikTok trend and they decided to look at me like I was the craziest person ever, even though we were all trying to have fun in the bar. And it's because I was, to them, it looked like self promotion. They were just like, oh, like, look at this girl, like, enjoying her crazy behavior. Like, that's crazy. Like, we have to do this, right? But actually, like, that's so sad. It actually, like, breaks my heart that that's the society that we live in. And so, what I'm standing up for is like, I never want to be like those people. I never want to be the person blending in. I never want to be the person who's laughing at the person for doing something different. I want to be the person who's like, so excited that you're doing something different. Like I'm running the LinkedIn Baddie program right now, round 2, and like we're pushing the boundaries. It's like when my baddies are out there sharing a vulnerable post, like I'm out there supporting them. I'm not being like, oh my God, like who's that? Like who's that? Like getting vulnerable. That's so awkward. Like, no, like we need to celebrate that because it's hard to do that. And I think what really like still like pisses me off about that like TikTok incident is like it was still hard for me to do. Like it wasn't like, yes, I love the limelight, but like it's still hard for me to stand up in a bar and do a random TikTok trend knowing that I'm not a TikTok dancer. And like some people in the bar probably know the dance and they're just like, oh God, she doesn't know how to do it. It's still hard for me, but like I still do it. And that's the point. Like, why are you gonna like make someone feel bad when they just push past discomfort to do something different to stand out? It just drives me insane. And so really like what I'm trying to say here is like be the person who does something different. Like Baddie Energy. Like, don't be afraid to be the one awkwardly doing something. Like, even me right now, it's like I've done this whole Baddie Diaries thing and I've really like promoted it and I'm going on and on about it. And I'm so excited. And like, look at me here. I'm like so happy to be on this live. And it's like some people probably think Baddie Diaries is the dumbest thing they've ever heard. Some people probably are like, laughing at me, being like, oh, like no one showed up. Like only two people showed up to her live. Hey, Sonia. See, we have more people joining on Instagram now. But it's like I'm just live on YouTube too as well. So just so you know, if I'm not like looking straight at you. But yeah, basically that's what I'm just harping on about. And really like the next part that I wanted to chat about is like just this concept of vilifying self-promotion in society is what leads us, and this is the most important kind of point of this live, is something I've come to realize is we place really sad limits on what we think that we can achieve for ourselves and what we're capable of, because we're so shamed whenever we try to do anything self-promotional. So it's like we're not allowed, it's almost like we have a cap on how I'm so excited for this. I'm so happy to hear that. And so Sonia's one of my longtime followers. So super happy to see her here in the YouTube or the Instagram live. I think she's like on both here. But basically, because of this vilifying of self-promotion, we don't get to talk about the things that we love to do, which means that like other people don't get to hear about what's awesome about us. And then we don't get to build confidence. And then as a result, we place such sad limits on what we're capable of achieving. And that is basically the mission I'm on with my clients. So it's actually hilarious because in the first 3 to 4 months of my business, I actually thought I was selling LinkedIn profiles, literally. I actually thought that I was like literally just selling LinkedIn profiles. Like, here you go. Yeah, sure. It's like copy on a page, some visuals. Yeah, a little bit of strategy. Like, here you go. When I was interviewing my clients, they were literally like, they didn't have a LinkedIn problem. They had an authenticity problem. Like, they had a positioning problem. They had an identity problem. Partially because we're not allowed to self-promote. And anytime we try to self-promote, even in our head, we feel so guilty, right? Like I was working with one of my clients. He's absolutely killing it on LinkedIn right now. And one of the things I convinced him to do was put in his headline that he is the number one source of, I'm going to blank out the industry, news. And like we literally branded him as the number one source of news. And he was like, oh, like I'm not really sure. And I was like, but like you are the number one source of news in your industry, because he's in a really niche industry and he has a podcast. He has a huge community. You are number one. Like, just like the limits that we place always just prevent us from reaching for the stars. And so that's the work that I do with my clients, is really like pushing past those self-limiting beliefs and whatever society told us that we can do, like whatever limit it placed on us and whatever we placed on ourselves. And the crazy thing is like we can't fully, this is a really important point that I want to make. We actually can't fully imagine what we can achieve. It's just not possible. Like I'll tell you, for example, like I want to build my business to like multiple six figures. Like I want to be making like 100K months one day. I actually can't imagine that. Like to me, because it's like I don't have that reality. Like I don't have 100K coming through my bank account every month, right? But the thing is, I'm aware of how limiting, or at least I'm trying to become more aware of how limiting my beliefs are of myself. And so what I do is I try to be as overly confident and unrealistic as possible about what I can achieve, because that's what truly pushes me. So for example, in April, when I was like stuck doing one-on-one work only, I was doing done for you services. Like I felt so trapped doing done for you, and all I wanted to do was coach. Like I wanted to inspire people. I wanted to like do this basically. But like I couldn't imagine it, and like I felt really scared. And for example, like I didn't think that I could like go away from done for you services. I didn't think I could like launch a group program. But then I literally did it. I was literally unrealistic. And I was like, I'm just going to like create a group program and I'm just going to like launch it. Like, who knows, right? And it worked. But like, had I stuck to my belief of like, oh, but like, I can't really launch a group program, or like, I don't see myself launching a group program right now, it's like, I would have never seen it. And so I would have never done it because I don't envision it. I don't think it's realistic for me, right? So drop an emoji in the chat if you're feeling this right now and you're just like, I feel like there are some limits that we're placing on ourselves and they are not benefiting us all. So drop an emoji if you're feeling like that is a truth in your life, or at least something that you want to change, but it is a truth that you're seeing. Let me know if you're feeling it. There goes Amanda. It's a serious issue. It's a serious issue because honestly, I placed the saddest limits on myself. Oh my gosh, you guys, like literally. So I graduated university with an economics degree in 2013. And then I started working at this like startup as a customer. Sonia's waving as well. She's like, yeah, screw these sad limits that we placed on ourselves. But so I was working in this startup as a customer service rep. And literally 2 years in, I was like promoted to an operations coordinator, and it was like a big deal for me. But still, I felt like, I'd done this economics degree and I had this big vision for myself. And so literally I'm like 25 sitting in the office, and I'm like 25 years old. I just graduated university 2 years ago. Like, I'm working my first job and I'm literally staring at the window and I'm like, is this it? Sad is the right word too. It is. It's sad. And this is a sad scene because 25-year-old Lena, literally, I was sitting out the window and I'm like, is this my potential? Like maybe this is just like what I'm gonna do. Imagine. Literally. That was my thought. Like literally. And that's coming from someone like I've traveled the world. I grew up abroad. Like I didn't, like I saw things in the world, but it still didn't give me that like full view of my potential because again, society just pushes us down, right? Anytime we self-promote, it's like, oh, like that's bad. And it's like, so loving yourself is bad? Like that's what I'm hearing. Like tell me if I'm wrong. Like drop an emoji if you're just like you're off, Lena. But like that's what I'm hearing. I'm like, you're telling me I can't love myself. And that pisses me off. Because of these sad limits I put on myself, I was stuck on sales and customer rep for 7+ years. My soul was dead. I feel you. Like I was in corporate for 7 years. 7 years is a long time. Sonia as well. Customer rep and sales for 7 years. Like I did not think entrepreneurship was available to me. I did not think that anything beyond the job that I had at that time was available to me. I thought that like you had to be special. That's the thing. I feel like that's also like the lies that society tell you is like you have to be special. You have to have this. You have to be this type of person. You have to have this characteristic. Like you need to, but it's all bullshit. Like it's all in our head, like what we want to do. And that's something that I'm trying to uncover. And like that's the whole point of these Baddie Diaries is let's talk about this stuff that's holding us back because it's holding us back and it's painful. So that's honestly why, like, inside my programs, I push my clients. They get pushed because I know this. And I know, and this is something that I'm really passionate about, is when someone comes into my world, they don't yet see their potential. Like, again, because we said we place sad limits, society pushes us down, they don't really fully see their potential. But my job as a coach is to see that potential in them and push them, right? And so, like, when clients come into my programs, like whether it's my one-on-one coaching or my group programs or whatever, like they expand. Like I have a woman right now in the Baddie program who literally week 2 of Baddie, she's like, I'm going to start charging US prices. Like I'm charging in US dollars. I'm done with Canadian. Like I'm not changing, like the price is staying the same in terms of like, this much Canadian. It's now literally just going to be US dollars, which is like more cash for her, right? She didn't offer a discount. She like people move in my world because I drill confidence into them. And actually, I take that back. I don't drill confidence into them. I drill courage into them. And that's something that I'm really, really, really specific about is it's not really like the confidence isn't there in the beginning. Like I'll tell you, for example, getting onto Baddie Diaries today, like it wasn't really like confidence. Like I didn't feel like, I mean, I'm excited because I love this and I want to do this. And I knew a few people would show up, but it's like, I'm leading with courage. Like I am scared. I was like, waiting for the live and I'm like, oh God, like, is anyone going to show up? And in the first 2 minutes of the live, it's like, no one's there. And you're just like, but it's like, you put it on, like you just not like put it on in a fake way, but it's like you push past it because like your mission is bigger than that. Like it's bigger than the nerves. And that's kind of like another point that I really want to go into. I'm just kind of running through my notes here, guys. I usually don't do notes, but for this live, I really wanted it to be like good. Is I think a lot of the source of my Baddie energy is I place a very big focus on my mission, and I make sure that like what I want with my mission is greater than my current discomfort. So it's always like, let's say, for example, a client was going to jump on a sales call, but then they ended up not jumping on the call. And now the question is like, okay, like where'd they go? I'm so glad you showed up and inspired. Oh, I'm so glad. Yeah, no, I'm giving it my all, guys. Like I literally, these Baddie Diaries are honestly everything to me. I just had the courage to increase my package price to one of my clients because they paid me so low, but I was desperate, not confident to negotiate. Yeah. So what I was kind of describing, because I've been in that position, yes, like, the courage to increase the price, feeling desperate and not confident to negotiate. You feel like you're being backed into a corner. But the way that I think about it and the way to really kind of channel Baddie energy is to think about, like, again, the potential and where you could be. But I was surprised they accepted my increase and they see my value. Exactly. This is the thing. So I have like so many things to say. I'm trying to collect my thoughts. It comes back to those sad limits, right? It again, it's the assumptions. We have so many assumptions. Like literally, guys, in the past week, I've had literally four prospects. I've had four prospects come back to me saying like they absolutely want to work with me and jump on a call and explore working together after they all literally ghosted for a whole host of reasons that had nothing to do with me. They literally had nothing to do with me. And even the ones right now who I've sent my package prices to and they're thinking, some of them I know that the price is going to be too much for them. But this is my thought process. I'm not like, oh my God, are they going to pay? But my thought process is like, where do I want to be in the future? Like, I want to be charging these future prices. And so, what do I need to be doing right now? I need to be stretching myself and I need to be holding the space because there's basically a chasm. So, it's so funny because, like, I used to be a product manager in tech, and there's this thing called the product adoption curve, which is basically when you first have an invention. It's first kind of like the innovators, it's like the technologists, like the people that like to tinker with things, that like pick it up and they look at it and they just like, they just screw with it, basically just kind of play around with it, and then they kind of ditch it because they just want to try new things. Then you have the early adopters who are like they're kind of like they want a competitive edge, right? Then you have these other segments of the population who adopt the products. And the thing with, hey guys, hey Sebastian, hey Ayushin, thanks for joining, people coming on Instagram. So you have this product adoption curve. And what I'm trying to explain to you is from the time that the early adopters are buying your product to the time that the early majority, which are kind of like the majority of the population, there's this thing called a chasm. And when people are building products, for example, software products, they'll have the innovators pick up their product, then they'll have the early adopters pick up their product, then they'll have this chasm because the way that the early adopters and the late majority are marketed to is different. So anyway, I'm going down a rabbit hole here, but the whole point I want to communicate to you is there is a chasm when you raise your prices. There is a chasm when you raise your standards. I know this because I've been in those chasms before, and there's a bit of a lag with the market, but it's not just the market, because when we start charging higher prices, I need to stand up here. When we start charging higher prices, by the way, anyone who's on the live and you have any comments or questions, just feel free to drop them and I will happily address them. I'm just kind of going off of my thing right now. But basically, there's a lag because not only does the market need to kind of like catch up to like how you're defining yourself, but you also need to catch up to this energy. Because when we first start charging higher prices, this is actually now getting into like the next topic of the live, which is next week, which is about like how to stop being nice and start charging bank. So I'm just going to kind of like do a summary here. But basically, we need to build confidence with our newer prices. And so that's why, like in the beginning, when we first raise our prices, there might be like a bit of a chasm, and there might be those moments where I have those moments, some of those moments right now with some of the people who are looking at my packages right now and they haven't, responded yet. What's going through my mind is like, some of them, the price is going to be too high. And I'm not thinking like, oh, how can I lower it? How can I get them in? What I'm thinking is like, this is like, I need to wait for the right person. I didn't say that correctly, but what I'm really thinking through my mind is like, if not this person, the next person. If it's not this one, then it's going to be one tomorrow. If it's not tomorrow, it's going to be the one after. But I have to hold this space, because as soon as I waver, now my whole energy is going to get messed up. Now I'm not going to feel confident about my high prices, right? So it's really important to basically stick to it and just give it time to actually work, right? Because with Sonia's example, like if she hadn't offered the higher price, she would have never found out, right? And I think that's part of it too. It's like, we have to just do it, even if we don't think it's gonna result in the perfect way possible for us. There were a few other things that I wanted to talk about in terms of Baddie Energy, but the sad limits, they really are sad. I'll tell you guys about when I first quit corporate, because this is a good story for how I actually got on LinkedIn. So when I first quit corporate in Feb 2020, I felt like the ultimate imposter. It was like I was coming out of 7 years of corporate. Like, I knew nothing about the entrepreneurial space. Drop an emoji if you resonate with that. You're just like, I used to work in corporate. I did not really understand entrepreneurship at all. I did not think that I would ever become an entrepreneur. Like, drop an emoji if you're just like, that was me. So basically, I actually, yeah, exactly. Been there, done that. Corporate crushers is like me, which is Brie, obviously. But basically, like, I felt like an imposter, and my biggest frustration was I couldn't even call myself an entrepreneur because I hadn't failed yet. That's what killed me. Sonia's raising her hand as well. So it sounds like we have some corporate dropouts here as well. I literally couldn't call myself an entrepreneur because I hadn't failed yet. So I literally had no identity. Like, I felt like the biggest joke. I had this LinkedIn headline that said product manager turned entrepreneur, and I felt like a joke. I literally felt like an idiot. I was so embarrassed. Amanda's also raising her hand. A few corporate dropouts here joining me today. But basically, I was like so embarrassed, but the thing is, I did it anyway. And I knew all my coworkers were, like, my old coworkers were watching me, like friends from university, but like, it just, everyone was watching me. They're like, I had done this like very public thing of like leaving corporate, and everyone was watching. But I did it anyway, because I was like, I know that if I don't give my 110%, there's no point. And that's the other element of Baddie Energy that I want you guys to embody. It's like, if you're not going to give it 110%, like, there's no point. So like, there's no point half-assing it. And that's how you get your ass off the chair and into movement, is you realize like I wrote this newsletter a few weeks ago where I was talking about, like, I was in the gym and I had gone to the gym, but I had, like, my AirPods had run out of battery, so I had to use, like, the stupid wired headphones, and they were just like these wires, and I hate freaking working out with wired headphones. I hate it. So I went to the gym and, like, I was just, like, annoyed with these wired headphones. I felt like I couldn't do a proper workout, so I was doing this, like, pathetic workout. And halfway through the workout, I literally, like, saw myself in the mirror and I was like, "Oh my God, like, I'm literally not moving a muscle." Like, I think I was just, like, raising my hand like that or something. It was, like, so lazy, and I was like, there's literally no point in me being in the gym right now. And that's what a lot of us are doing when we're out there. It's like we're not really doing it. And but it's like, so it's like, we quit corporate, but we're not, like, we want to be our boss, but we're not really being our own boss. Like, we want to do things our way, but we don't really have the courage to really do it when it comes to it. We want to go for the dream clients, but we're just like, maybe we'll go for, like, these ones instead. We need to reach higher because it's gonna be hard, but if you're not gonna do it 110%, like, you have no shot at getting the full effect, right? So I was literally humiliated. Like, I felt like a complete joke, but I kept showing up because I knew that eventually I would get somewhere. And this is what I think about a lot. Like, for example, today, it's like, this is the first ever Baddie Diaries. I am so proud. We have, like, 4 people on YouTube. We have, like, Priyanka just came in on Instagram. Like, we have a friggin' so many people are joining. But it's and I'm so happy. But when that tiny voice in my head, it's like, oh, but, like, but there were only 4 people, but, like, it wasn't the best live and all this stuff. It's like, I don't care, because I know one day I'm gonna be up here at Baddie Diaries talking to you guys about the first freaking Baddie Diaries and how far I've come. I know I'm gonna get there, and I can't wait to talk about that. So every time I have a crappy moment in my business, I have a failure, I have a difficult moment, what I actually think in my head, I'm like, I can't wait to talk about this in the future. I can't wait to be able to use this excruciatingly painful freaking situation to actually grow in the future and to actually get, like, the right people's attention, and, like, build the right presence. Like, I know that I will get there. And when I talk about it, then it'll be that much sweeter, right? That's how I get through some of the low periods. Um, Woo! Amanda's excited. Are you guys feeling fired up? I hope you're feeling fired up. That's kind of the goal of the live, is to do a little bit more, because usually I talk very mechanically, not mechanically, but it's all about, like, how to do your LinkedIn and how to sell and, like, all these things. And we'll talk about all that stuff 100%. Some of the trainings will be more kind of like tactical or strategic, but I really wanted to have a space to unpack some of these more mindset things, because I think at the end of the day, honestly, that's what's holding people back. Because literally, this always cracks me up. So when I used to do done for you services with my clients, I would basically revamp their whole entire LinkedIn presence. I mean, if someone still wants to, Sonia's like, man. I mean, if someone still wants their whole profile done for them, I still offer that as, like, a back pocket service. But anyway, so when I used to actually do this, like, done for you services, I would basically get my clients to first free write to a set of prompts, because when people get in front of their LinkedIn profile, they immediately kind of go into this, like, land of, like, blandness. They want to be corporate and they just lose themselves, basically. So before we get there, I just, like, put my clients far away from LinkedIn, and I'm like, just fill out these questions. Forget you even have a LinkedIn profile. Like, forget the world exists. Just answer these questions as if they're, like, random questions or whatever. And then I use that information to craft the profile. And that's what I do with all of my clients, because I find that we are always very blind to ourselves, and like, we overcomplicate, and we don't give ourselves credit enough. And so when we put ourselves in this vacuum of, like, not the pressure of self-promotion, again, it's that self-promotion. It's that, like, vilifying of self-promotion that makes people scared to, like, talk about themselves ever. And that's why on their profile, they get really confused. And so basically, sorry, my like camera always gets really crazy. I forgot what I was like bringing the story about, but with my clients doing the done for you is yeah, like the stuff that they come up with in their free write questions is like they would never come up with that in front of the profile because they're just in that closed mindset, right? But yeah, what else do I have here? What else comes to mind for you guys with Baddie Energy? If anyone on Instagram wants to chime in, you got some questions, feel free to drop them in. Probably hang out for like a little bit longer and then I'll head over. I have a long Q3, Q4 planning with my VA in a bit. But I have to drop to go network, but love the session. See you on LinkedIn next live. So ready to put myself out there. Yay! I'm so glad. Okay, have a great. She's gonna go network. Awesome. Thanks for joining us, Amanda. Let's see how we can wrap this up. I'm still kind of new to the lives, not gonna lie, guys. I'm kind of like, what do I say at this point? The last thing that I'll really kind of end with here, and this is really just kind of my whole philosophy around hey, thanks for joining on Instagram. So the last thing that I'll kind of like speak on is the reason that this whole kind of baddie thing has even become a thing is basically because I've been talking about what I stand for to my audience. So the reason I have people attending Baddie Diaries, the reason I have people creating custom hashtags on Instagram called LinkedIn Baddie Tribe, the reason I have like people literally like being like, I want to be a LinkedIn Baddie is not because like just the LinkedIn Baddie term sounds cool, but it's because of what it represents. Because what it represents is not caring what other people think, actually going against the grain and standing up for what you believe in, even when it's scary. And that's something that I think people are craving, right? Not dimming your light because of XYZ reason, whatever the reason may be, right? Like we're scared or we feel intimidated or we feel like we don't have enough experience or all these like lies that we tell ourselves for why we can't show up and stand up and talk about what we believe in. I know that my audience wants to feel more confident. Like, I know that you guys want to give less of an F. Like, I know you guys want to do the hard things without feeling like you're going to give up. I know you want to put yourself out there. You want to stretch yourself. And that's what I talk about in my content. So when I came up with this whole baddie term, that's why people resonated because they want that they resonate with what I'm standing up for, right? For them, because they want to also find their thing that they stand up for, right? Hey, thanks for joining. One of my girls from Vancouver is in the live. Everyone's joining today. I'm so excited. So yeah, Baddie Energy. I think it's what a lot of people. Yes, I need to put myself out there. I think it's what most people are honestly, because so many people, they're just like, oh, like I don't know how to use LinkedIn. I don't know how to do that. And those are all the technicalities. But at the end of the day, like really the work that I focus on with my clients is how can we make it so that you actually feel comfortable being yourself online? How can we make it so that you actually can drop that fear of judgment and truly just like show up as who you are and not have this like imaginary, like these imaginary shackles. Because what really blows my mind, especially with LinkedIn, is like we left our corporate jobs to do whatever the hell we want and to build the business of our dreams. Yet, like when we get on LinkedIn, we start now asking, like, oh, what are the rules? Like, do I need to be corporate? And like, oh, but like these people, and like, what are these people going to think? But it's like, but wait, like, we don't have a boss. Like, the whole point of us doing this whole thing was like, we don't have a boss. And so we can do what we want. And so if we still don't feel like we can do what we want, despite um, not having a boss, that to me tells me that the issue is inside, right? It's not the boss, it's inside, because we all have like, I have a boss, but I managed to kind of through time break out of my fear of what they thought, right? It's not because I don't have a boss anymore, like I don't have any ex-bosses anymore. It's all in our head. And so no matter how many jobs we quit, no matter how many jobs we quit, no matter how many businesses we try to start, if internally we are not truly okay with standing up for what we believe in and who we are and who we truly want to work with, it's never going to work. Like quitting corporate, because like there's so many people who like they've quit corporate and then they're still hiding. Like they still feel scared, they still feel not accepted, right? And there are certain circles in which like we will never be accepted, right? Like that's why I left corporate. I just never found my home there. But like you can build your community. You can build your community of the right people, and you can do that on every platform. You can do it on Instagram, you can do it on LinkedIn, you can do it on TikTok, you can do it on Threads. Like you have to find what makes you comfortable and surround yourself with those people, but also at the end of the day, just really just yeah, it's a difficult concept to explain, like how do you truly let go. But I think the closest thing that I've come to, and that again is like how I personally channel my Baddie energy, is just like, is my future potential greater than the current discomfort that I'm going through? And that's what I always come back to. And the answer is always, it's always yes. Because yes, like 100%. Like I know I'm going places and I don't really care how uncomfortable I am right now. And I know that whenever I do uncomfortable things, it's progress, right? And I think there's a whole other thing that I can talk about in terms of failure, which is like a massive topic, which I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole right now. But I think a lot of it is inside, is kind of my conclusion. But yeah, so that's kind of like pretty much what I have for today. So if you are like, I'm ready to claim my Baddie energy in my content on LinkedIn, whatever it is, send me a DM. Let's chat to see if I can help you do that, what the options are. And I really hope that today has shifted something in your mindset. I hope that it's helped you find your inner Baddie. I hope that it's inspired you to just put yourself out there a little bit more. And if you don't yet feel ready to just completely go out there, and I'm going to be here every single week. I'm going to be talking about topics like this. I'm going to be taking topic requests too. If there's like a certain question that you want me to break down in one of the Baddie diaries, I can totally do that. Just send me a DM on Instagram, on LinkedIn. I'm on all the socials now. But I really, really hope that, the live today has the power to truly change the trajectory of your business, of your life, and your happiness. And think about that as you go into your day and finish up your week. How can you do something different? Like, how can you think differently? How can you dismantle some sort of assumption that you have about like the limit that you placed in yourself? How can you do something that's going to put yourself out there a bit with the chance of getting a bigger return? So like Sonia was telling me, like was telling us earlier, where she was just like, I finally just got past the courage and increased my packages. And I was surprised that they like just said yes. And that's the energy that I want you to go with. Like, what if they say yes? Because we're always like, what if they say no? But it's like, what if it's a thing? Like, what if like we put the package together and people buy? What if we launch the group program and people buy? What if we start a live weekly series with pretty much like very small audience on YouTube and Instagram? We market the crap out of it. Like, maybe people will show up. And then maybe next week more people will show up. And then maybe the week after that, like I'll get even better at talking live, because today I felt like it was just a random information thrown at you with me trying to like do my notes. But I know it's going to get better. And I know in 3 months, like I know Baddie Diaries is going to be a thing. I know it. I freaking know it. And if no one else wants to show up, like I'll be alone here every week talking about this stuff because I benefit from it. And so I hope that you can find a way to stretch yourself over the next week, do something crazy, and then maybe you can come back next week and tell us all about it. And if it turned out well, we can all just be like, great, that's going to stretch us. And if it doesn't, we're going to be like, you tried, because unless you try, you don't know. And again, even if you try the first time and it doesn't work, you're going to get better. Like with Baddie Diaries today, it's like, is this the perfect live? No, but like, I know I'm going to get better. And I literally can't wait for next week. In fact, I don't know, maybe I'll live stream on the weekend. But do something different, push yourself. Let's do this for a week and then come back next week and let's chat about our expansion. So that's all I got for you today. So I'll see you next Tuesday, my baddies. And yeah, DM me, send me a DM if you got value out of this live. Send me a DM if you feel encouraged. Sonia saying, I have more courage thanks to you. I'm so glad to hear that. It was perfect for me, she said. So message me with what you loved about it. And we're going to be talking about how to stop being nice and start making bank in your business next week on Tuesday. We chatted a little bit about prices and that stuff. I have some really crazy stories for you guys next week that is going to open your mind to what's possible when you just let go of the pressure of sales. And I'm excited. So thank you so much for coming. I just like love you guys. I love Baddie Diaries. I can't wait. I love how I'm like probably more excited than all of y'all, but I will see you next week, baddies. Okay. Take care and stay bad.